Agora, nós gostaríamos de convidar para a palestra Práticas Editoriais Recomendadas e ScholarOne Manuscripts, Mrs. Norma Roberts, gerente de implementação de projetos do ScholarOne da Clarivate Analytics. Please, Norma.
So I'm really excited to be here with you today. This is my second time to Sao Paulo, and I find that I still love this city. And I'm excited to be here representing Clarivate and ScholarOne, specifically in celebration of SciELO and the great work that it does throughout Latin America, and we are great admirers of SciELO. So wanted to start off by showing the broader ecosystem of Clarivate Analytics Publisher Services portfolio, where you can see we've got ScholarOne, but in addition, Publons and Web of Science Insights and ScholarOne Abstracts. We've seen the number of submissions in ScholarOne Manuscripts going up over the past several years, and the number of sites increasing. We don't quite have 10,000, but we're getting more and more. We've gone over 2 million submissions recently. And we have a global outreach with ScholarOne Manuscripts, where you can see we have the top 10 countries where we receive submissions from, with Brazil coming in 5th, in large part due to our relationship with SciELO Brazil. But as Yvonne was talking about earlier in the morning session, we know that there is a lot of great scholarship coming out of the rest of Latin America, and we would like to see our relationships grow in your region of the world. This again shows regional submissions that we've seen over the past few years, the most coming from Brazil again, but exciting growth in other parts of Latin America. So all journals want to improve journal publishing standards. They want to improve the efficiency and the efficacy of their journals, focusing on peer review best practices, improving ethical publishing practices, meeting technical needs, and publication timeliness. And I'll talk about some of those aspects here in a minute. So ScholarOne core functionality goes from typically soliciting submissions from authors to post-acceptance, publication, processing, and reporting. But we're looking into broadening the scope of that and are excited about the PKP, SciELO partnership, and want to get into preprints as well, and looking at relationships we can have with authoring and collaborating platforms to make the process easier for authors and improve it for publishers and journals. So a lot of numbers on this screen, but a few things I want to point out. We have 2 major releases come out for ScholarOne Manuscripts every year, and our next one will come out in a couple months. I'll talk a little bit more in a minute about some of the exciting things that will be coming out with that. But another thing to point out is that a large percentage of our journals that we work with don't have high volumes of submissions. We have some that go in the tens of thousands, but by and large, a lot of our journals don't receive more than about 100 submissions a year. So we have a lot of options for flexibilities for the journals we work with in terms of integrations and partners we work with. I can't get to all of this right now, but I'd be happy to talk to you later if you have any questions. We have a system that's set up to enable open access journals to work with us, where we can go from the beginning to the end and have a good partnership with RightsLink so that fees can be collected if necessary. Again, partnerships we have, the image is very small, which I apologize in terms of the little circles, but all of the ones with the green stars next to them are partnerships that we are coming out with this year. Either we have already come out with them or they will be coming out with our next release. And you can see also that we're expanding the number of partners who we work with all the time. So reporting is one of our great strengths. There are a lot of off-the-shelf reports that are available, easy to use for journals, but there's also custom reports that can be built. And we always offer free reports training, so if anyone is ever in doubt about how to build a custom report, it's easy to get help with that. We also support multi-languages in ScholarOne Manuscripts with our relatively recent release of Spanish and Portuguese. We're working with SciELO Brazil so that all of their sites can have English, Spanish, and Portuguese, or whatever languages they choose to use. We currently have all three on SciELO Brazil's master site, which is the template we use to build all of their other journal sites, so that journals themselves can choose which languages are helpful for their users. Okay, so this is kind of the meat of what I wanted to get to. I'm going to just call out some things that will be coming out soon in ScholarOne Manuscripts, including the ORCID single sign-on. We're currently beta testing the ability for users to sign into ScholarOne Manuscripts using their ORCID credentials. And in 2019, we're going to be developing a single user profile in ScholarOne Manuscripts that would link to their Web of Science profile if they have one. We're working on metadata extraction. That's a project that's ongoing where we would extract metadata from the manuscript files uploaded to the system, which would speed up the process for authors in terms of submission, not needing to fill out every field. But also it will create a JATS XML file, which is what Deborah was talking about earlier this morning, so that publishers and journals can choose to use that JATS file whenever they want. They could use it immediately or later on down the process. And like Deborah was saying, she was recommending using it earlier on in the process. And that's one of our initial steps in moving away from PDF to XML. We're increasing the number of repositories that we have connections with so that author data can easily be shared with the required repositories. We're improving manuscript transfer functionality. I don't think SciELO Brazil uses it very much, but it's something I'll talk more about on Thursday in the workshop I'm doing. But right now, authors don't have a choice in where manuscripts can get transferred to if they're not appropriate for one journal. The editor chooses for them. But in our next release, coming out in a few months, authors will be able to choose which journal it can get transferred to. In 2019, we're coming out with an updated version of Reviewer Locator, which we're calling Reviewer Connect, which will combine Web of Science and Publon's data so that reviewer recommendations can be even stronger. Something we're very excited about is our transparent peer review initiative that's being piloted right now by one of our clients. It's set up so that authors, reviewers, and editors have an option to opt in to this transparent peer review. We're calling it transparent because users can choose whether their name is included or not. And assuming that people opt in, which we have seen good results from in our pilot so far. The metadata gets sent to Publons from ScholarOne, and then Publons will host it there, and that they'll provide a link to journals, publishers, so that they can share that information, that open, transparent peer review information on their proprietary sites. We've got also an interest in developing preprint submissions, like was said with Juan, and are excited to work on that as well. It falls in good alignment with our initiatives that we're working on and directions that we'd like to go. So my time is up, but I would just like to encourage you to come to the Clarivate desk if you'd like to talk to us more about anything that catches your interest. There's also a workshop Thursday evening that I'll be giving on ScholarOne. So thank you.
Thank you, Norma. Please.